Hello everyone, it's Dr. Stuart Allen Swerdlow,
And Janet Diane Moria Swordlow.
and this is the Expansions news video for the Valentine's Day week of February 2021. And so, as it is every Valentine's Day, we have incredible snow and cold. And I know that you're very anxious to go out and shovel again. No, because you don't ever. When was the last time you ever shoveled?
I've been at least 10 years.
Yeah, maybe 20.
No.
Yeah. And so, so I already went out. We had someone do it. I had to go and do it again, and now I have to go do it again.
Good exercise for you.
Yeah, because I don't have enough of that. Anyway, here's the thing, people. I don't have a lot of news today, and I'll tell you why. Because if the person who's supposed to be president is really fake and not the president, why should I report anything he does? And if, God forbid, he really is the real president, I don't want to discuss anything he does. So I'm not going to talk about him ever.
I agree.
That's how I am about it, so you'll have to deal with that. I'm just not going to discuss it. And as far as the second impeachment goes of a person who's not even so-called president anymore, this is like a comedy show. It's like a sad show.
It is. It's a waste of taxpayer
It's a waste
money
of everything.
and time and energy and effort. It's ridiculous.
It's like, I don't even want to. The only reason I look at the news is because I talk to you about it every week. But in the last couple of months, I don't even want to discuss it because it's stupid and ignorant and evil. So I'm not going to discuss it. You want to look at the news? Go look at the news. Go listen to it. It's all lies, all crap. On both sides, by the way. Not just both sides are crap. Anyway, so I will tell you some news that has something to do with the United States. Or actually, it does, but indirectly. So, U.S. intelligence, and again, that's an oxymoron, shows that China has conducted human testing on members of the People's Liberation Army in hope of developing soldiers with biologically enhanced capabilities. So, Chinese super soldiers. And so, you can go to the restaurant and you say, I want a super soldier, please. Okay, you get two. You want two? I gave you two. Anyway, this is according to former Director of National Intelligence, again, an oxymoron, John Ratcliffe, who said in December, a couple months ago, that the Chinese are trying to obtain biological dominance with no ethical boundaries. Who would have thought they'd be like that? And it's the eugenics program of the Third Reich to create a master race. It's the same thing. Of course, the Germans would consider the Chinese to be an inferior people that should be exterminated. So it's very interesting that they are the ones who are trying to create a super race. So China has gleaned access to CRISPR, which is the Advanced Genetic and Biotech Research company, thanks to their relationship with people in the United States and other advanced Western nations. And I talked about this several months ago, about how they're trying to get the DNA of the whole world. And also because the ethical standards of the research are low. So they're kind of like trailer trash researchers. So a Chinese geneticist by the name of Bing Su, who's at the state-run Kunming Institute of Zoology, recently, now listen to this, and what does it remind you of? Inserted the human MCPH1 gene, which develops the brain, into a monkey. The insertion could make that animal's intelligence more human than that of the lower primates. Su's next experiment is inserting into the monkeys the sRGAP2C gene, related to human intelligence, and the FOXP2 gene connected to language skills. So it's like Planet of the Apes, basically, going on over here. Pretty scary, I would think. Although I would like to have a few monkey slaves. Shovel the driveway, take care of the animals. Wouldn't that be a little
No,
monkey
because then they could get out of control and take over like
No,
in the
because then they have
Planet of the
a
Apes.
chip in their brain and you no.
Well, what if they take the clicker? And then they're going to take over and then you're going to have Planet of the Apes. So no.
You are no fun.
No.
Anyway, China is in the process of creating the perfect communist. Hey, so is Nancy Pelosi and Biden.
You weren't supposed to talk about
Seriously.
politics.
And China's central planners now have the human genome itself to perfect according to political China. And that's what I told you that whistleblower in that corporation working with the Chinese said in October, and this is exactly now what's coming out. So they basically are capable of fundamentally altering all life on this planet according to the whims of the communist regime. So there will be no more humanity if this is not stopped. And the government of China is apparently pure demonic evil, period, and they need to be stopped, unless you like to be a robot. Speaking of people who need to be stopped, the World Health Organization, now this is actually a funny story. The World Health Organization team investigating the origins of the coronavirus pandemic said that that it's not from a lab in Wuhan, China. It's not true, and that it actually came from an animal and spread to humans. Then why don't animals have it?
Well, you know, sometimes they test some animals now.
Yeah, they also test vegetables and fruit. Okay, it's ridiculous, you know. And I'm sorry, but it was in the news. So-called President Biden.
No, yeah, you were going to talk about it.
And the name is BYE-DONE. By done. He would re-engage with the WHO, reversing former President Donald Trump's withdrawal from the controversial UN body and handling of the days of the COVID-19 crisis. So that's another threat to humanity. Oh, and I don't know if we discussed it last week or not, but the CDC saying wear 2 masks.
Oh, I think I brought
And
it
to
up.
make the second one tight over the first one so that you can't breathe it on, you'll just die. And that will kill the virus. When you're dead, virus will die.
But then they can say you died because of the COVID-19.
Well, of course, because you had to wear the 2 masks and it suffocated you. Now, I have a report from my person in Lebanon. And apparently, there was an assassination of a Hezbollah critic named Lokman Slim. Doesn't sound like an Arabic name to me. I guess he was not too fat.
That's what I was going to say.
So his funeral was the other day, and it was broadcast live on local channels, and it was attended by the ambassadors from America, Switzerland, Germany, Canada, France, blah, blah, blah. And so this person, this Hezbollah critic, had an independent publishing house and was a filmmaker and a prolific critic of Hezbollah. And of course, Twitter had a lot of comments, and some of the comments were very disgusting. For example, the son of the Hezbollah chief, Sayed Nasrallah, said that the loss was a blessing, that killing some of these people against the terrorists is a blessing. So it means that it's okay to kill people when they're against terrorism and fundamentalism. And so, of course, Twitter now, people are openly swearing and hurling abusive comments against them. I don't think that's going to make a big difference. But of course, Twitter would allow the comments about killing people against terrorism. But if anyone put a Twitter comment about destroying the people who create terrorism, they would be banned. And so, basically, that's all I have.
All right, well, I have a little bit, not a whole lot as well, but I want to remind people that, okay, here we're in Michigan in the snow. My series, Heights of, is now a series. There's 5 of them. Heights of Spirituality, Heights of Deprogramming. We have Heights of Health, Heights of Wealth, Heights of Relationships. So it's 5 series.
Are you going to have one called Heights of Heights?
I'm going to have one called Heights of
Or
Stewart.
Fear of Heights?
Fear of Stewart. Yeah. Well, anyway, so if you need some good reading material, this is our latest books that are out. And of course, we have tons of other ones that will help you with your mind, because everybody obviously needs something going on up here.
Most of them don't have anything going on.
And I know.
out
So
there.
this is what's interesting, because you're speaking of robots. You mentioned robots. This interview, actually, I don't even know how it came across my desk. I don't know if I just stumbled on it or somebody sent it to me. But apparently back in 2015, October, Hillary Clinton gave an interview with a BuzzFeed podcast called Another Round. And in this podcast, she had said that she's a robot.
Yeah, I told you about that.
Well, yeah, well then maybe that's why maybe I found it. It said the shocking admission came during the interview in which an astute interviewer noted that the Democrat presidential candidate, remember this is 2015, did not sweat during the interview. Who else do we know that said they didn't sweat? You forgot already? Prince Andrew. Remember?
I know he said that.
Yeah, but that's a buzz all over the news because that woman was accusing him of all kinds of horrible things, and he said, well, and she said he was sweaty, and he said it couldn't have been me because I don't sweat.
Uh-huh.
So it was interesting because this interview, Clinton says she doesn't sweat. So other reporters and Clinton associates have remarked upon Clinton's remarkable ability to not sweat, even when working the rope line on a hot Iowa day.
Well, you know, that's actually dangerous because you could die from that sweat.
Not if you're a robot. So anyway, the host said, I don't mean sweat because you're nervous, I just mean physically. I'm genuinely curious what your deodorant is. So then,
Who cares?
I'm going to tell you, and you're going to care when you listen to this. Apparently, though, it says the traditional one weird fact about Clinton, she says, the weirdest thing about me is that I don't sweat. And it's interesting because of this Prince Andrew thing.
That's not the weirdest thing.
So then, the BuzzFeed suggested that Clinton was a robot. And Hillary said, you guys are the first to realize that I'm really not even a human being. I was constructed in a garage
In Palo Alto.
a very long time ago. People think that, you know, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they created it. Oh no, I mean a man whose name shall remain nameless created me in his garage. She said this.
Mm-hmm.
So then the interviewer says, are there more of you? And Hillary says, I thought he threw away the plans. At least that's what he told me when he programmed me. That there would be no more. I've seen more people that kind of don't sweat and other things that make me think maybe they are part of the new race that he created, the robot race. It's fascinating. Then the interviewer says, so there's a cyborg army is what you're saying. And Clinton says, but you have to cut this. You can't tell anybody this. I don't want anybody to know this. This has been a secret until we are here in Davenport, Iowa, and I'm just spilling my electronic guts to you. Oh, that was a pretty strange thing. 2015. You can look it up, the links in there. Thing. So anyway, well, that was interesting.
That's probably the first truthful thing she ever said.
Probably. And then the Senate again rejected the Born Alive legislation, which would require babies who survive an abortion to receive the same level of care as newborns of the exact gestational
Why does that
age.
even have to be a question?
Well, apparently they just let them die. So Senator Ben Sasse, a Republican of Nebraska, attempted to add the measure to the budget resolution bill, saying protecting newborns ought to be the easiest thing in the world, like what you just said. Why does it have to be an issue?
Really?
He says every baby deserves care. This isn't about abortion, it's about human rights. And chairman of the Senate Pro-Life Caucus, Senator Steve Daines, Republican Montana, tweeted the failure of the vote is chilling, that this isn't health care, this is infanticide.
Yeah, it is.
So I thought that was interesting.
I just call it murder.
Well, then we have less people so we can do the robot race, apparently. Now in Iowa, Republican Governor Kim Reynolds lifted the mask and social distancing mandates without conferring first with public health officials in her own administration. Apparently, she released a new public health proclamation this past week that lifted mask requirements and limits on the number of people who could gather in bars and restaurants as of today. So that's, tomorrow, Valentine's Day. The ending of mitigation measures caught many by surprise because they still have a high positivity rate compared to other states, and they're last place in the nation, good for you, in the delivering the first dose of coronavirus vaccine. Now, her spokesman said the lifting of the coronavirus mitigation measures correlates with a reduction in virus activity in the state. Remember, less than 1% of the people die. So it's not...
Less than 0.001%.
Yes. So the governor has been consistent since the beginning of the pandemic and is following through with her commitment to dial back restrictions based on a significant decrease in COVID hospitalizations. So, yay for Iowa. That's close.
Iowa.
Close to us. Then in Montana, Republican Governor Greg Johnfort says that he will let Montana's statewide mask mandate expire as of last week. And he said...
In Montana?
Montana.
Ooh.
He said we will continue to provide incentives to protect the health and safety of Montanans, and we will emphasize personal responsibility over mandates, which is the way it should be.
I wish this state would do that.
He made the announcement last week at a bill signing ceremony for Senate Bill 65. And Senate Bill 65 limits when businesses, healthcare providers, and other organizations can be sued over potential exposure to COVID-19. It also allows these groups to claim a defense if they took reasonable measures based on public health guidance about COVID, saying this is a significant step in getting Montana safely open for business. These protections are common sense and they'll go a long way to getting our economy going again. And this is the way it should be. People should be allowed to make their own decisions. Leave their homes, gather with their families, go to church, take the stupid muzzler off their mouth.
I saw a video this morning about Egypt, and there was this big restaurant, people sitting like very close together, no masks, serving like normal.
Yeah. Well,
in
maybe
Egypt.
we'll go to Egypt then. In North Carolina, Elon University had an event called White Caucus. Apparently these are a thing they're doing at universities, so don't send your kids to these schools.
It's racist.
White caucuses have recently been held in many other U.S. colleges, including the University of Buffalo, UC Davis, University of Kentucky.
What is it about?
I'm going to tell you, and University of Florida. Apparently this event is for white identifying students to process their complicity in racial injustice, but they had to cancel it because the meeting would exclude other races. Okay, so the event was intended for white allies to speak openly about systemic oppression without re-traumatizing people of color.
So let's see. So if there was, let's say, a Chinese student union meeting and white people weren't allowed to go because they're not Chinese, would that be racist?
It would, in my opinion, but maybe they couldn't go because they're white supremacists. I don't know. I guess that's what they call them. I don't know these days. Everything changes. They said the caucus would give white students a space to learn about and process their awareness of and complicity in unjust systems. But because of so many complaints, the event was canceled. So that was good. They shouldn't have these things at all. Just be who you are. We are who we are. And now here's maybe some good news. Scientists are develop transparent wood that is stronger and lighter than glass. I thought that was an interesting
Transparent wood. Huh.
They described the process, but I didn't want to put it into the
So your
podcast.
house would be like a big window.
Well, if you wanted it to be. But researchers at the University of Maryland have turned ordinary sheets of wood into transparent material that is nearly as clear as glass, but stronger and with better insulating properties. It could become an energy-efficient building material in the future.
If you want to let everybody see what you're doing inside.
For your windows, silly. Windows are a major source of heat loss, period. So therefore, it might take less energy to manufacture clear wood because there are no high temperatures involved, and then you would use the clear wood for a window instead of a window.
Ah,
If
I
you
thought
wanted,
the walls would be.
well, if you wanted that, excuse me. Personally, I don't want to live in a transparent house. Maybe you do. But anyway, it says the technology has not been scaled up to industrial levels, but it has great potential. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Now this one I found exceptionally interesting about Dubai, that Dubai has created a space court for out of this world disputes. I like that.
Oh, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, but Dubai just decided to do it.
Because Dubai, I think they have a rocket now going to the moon or something.
No,
like
to Mars.
Mars, even
Mars.
better.
Actually, it has arrived.
Oh.
So yeah. So apparently, there's an arbitration tribunal. They've created this to specialize in space activities of private companies, such as disagreements over satellite purchases or collisions between devices in orbit. So apparently, they are building their presence in the space sector, as I just mentioned, because they have sent this thing to Mars, and apparently it's landed. And then they're also looking at space tourism and mining. So they have made plans to help regulate these kind of industries.
I hope when they landed they had like regular spacesuits on, instead of those robes. Yeah.
Oh, robes are
'Cause
pretty comfortable.
they'd have a lot of trouble if they just went out in their robes.
The robes look much more comfortable than the spacesuits, in my opinion.
Not on Mars though.
No, well, that they were red, they just blend right into the red planet. Anyway, the tribunal will be based at the Dubai International Financial Center, called DIFC Courts. It's an independent British-inspired arbitration center based on common law. Now, space law is governed by international conventions and resolutions, including the UN Outer Space Treaty that was entered in force in 1967. The DIFC courts were established in 2004, and apparently many foreign companies already use their service to arbitrate commercial disputes. So, as space commerce becomes more global, the complex commercial agreements that govern them will also require an equally innovative judicial system to keep pace. So, in July of 2019, they launched a probe named Hope toward Mars, and it's due to reach its destination, which I just mentioned it did. So they're saying we need to provide the UAE with the right infrastructure in case of disputes. We want to set the scene in terms of what courts can do. We believe there will be a huge appetite for it, and companies and institutions based both in the UAE and abroad will now have the option of agreeing to take grievances to the tribunal with new contracts potentially specifying the new space court as the forum for resolving disputes. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then you had mentioned, and I mentioned about this Hope just reaching there. Believe it or not, NASA also is supposed to have something on the red planet. And China has had their spacecraft land on the red planet called Tianwen-1.
Yeah, they were just delivering takeout.
Yeah, there was a 5-ton spacecraft stack made up of an orbiter and a rover launched in July. So 3 major countries, having something on Mars this week. So you want to tell me this wasn't planned? Okay,
Well,
I
first of
think they're
all-
all working together.
You
Period.
think?
That's what I think.
Wow, you're so smart.
I'm smart. So
Well,
that's
never
what I
think of
think.
that.
Yeah, so if you want to get smart out there, you want to get our bundle of our Wednesday night
Ooh,
webinars.
Do you want to get my bundle?
Of the revelations of time and space, history and God, the template of God mind. Is that for me?
Yes.
King bee, queen bee,
God.
and the last one that goes with that bundle is heights of spirituality. So lots of things you can do to take care of your mind. If you want to hear more
If you
about
have a mind.
alien stuff, because there's a lot of alien stuff going on, Montauk, Alien Connection, and Blue Blood, because this is pictures of aliens in the back somewhere in there. There they go. Aliens.
That's actually my family.
Yes, Stuart's family. So we have lots of things going on here that will help you take care of your mind, because obviously there's a lot of you out there that have lost your
don't have a
mind.
mind.
You got crazy out there. So you need to take care of your mind.
Oh, and I hope you all enjoyed my Italian interviews.
Yes.
And apparently I'm very popular in Italy.
You are. Why?
I don't know. Because maybe,
We don't know why.
I don't know. Maybe I look Italian.
Maybe.
And so, you talked about the new books. We have our webinars every Wednesday evening.
Based on the Heights of Spirituality bundle.
Yes, and if they missed the first month, can they still join and
Well, the first month
continue?
is gone, but we do have study guides out that they can get, and that can catch up. And a lot of people are loving the study guides. So those are transcripts of what we have done.
But not actual recording.
No,
Okay.
just the transcripts they get. So our next session actually begins the first week of March. So
Right.
if you have not joined, you have to wait till March, but you can watch or
You
get
can
the
get
study
the
guides.
January and February
Study guides.
Study guides.
Yes, and
Okay.
it's a fascinating, I'm saying it's an absolutely fascinating topic. Darkness to light, we're talking about the Torah, Kabbalah, and Zohar. So, and how it applies to you.
And then February 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S., we will have our Ecuador Spanish and English webinar on
The healing of mind
Mind
patterns.
patterns.
So, if you don't have these books, these will help you. We have a lot of books on healing the mind, obviously. If you take a look, you'll find. But these are the two. Yeah, Heights of Health and Alternative Medical Apocrypha, I think will be specifically on there, but all of our work is about that. So we have tons of books. I think we have a health and healing bundle. Check that out if you haven't yet.
And so I don't call it really Valentine's Day, I call it Validation Day.
You do?
So you can validate the person that you care about.
So who would that be?
Well, for me,
Yeah.
it probably will be my AO scan phone.
That's what I figured.
Mm-hmm.
I figured I'm second place now.
Mm-hmm. No, you're
Oh, I'm back further down the list.
a little bit further than that.
Okay, that's why I
But I do
wrote
validate you.
Heights of Relationships. This would be a great book for you to give to whoever you want to validate so you can make your relationship better, like ours.
Yeah. And so anyway, we have to go because I have to shovel again.
All right.
And because nobody ever does help me.
Because you don't like it the way
Because
anybody
they
else
don't
does
do
it.
it right, and after they're done, I have to fix it.
That's right. So that's why we just
So-
let you go out there and do your own thing in your own way,
Well, I don't
and then
want
you're
that.
happy.
I want to have an intelligent monkey from China,
No.
and they'll go out, maybe 3 or 4 of them.
No
little,
monkeys.
Cute little monkeys shoveling.
No
How cute would that
monkeys.
be?
No monkeys. You have to teach Hero and Jade and
No.
Jasmine to shovel.
No, they
They
do
can
other
dig.
things.
They
They
get out there
dig.
and
They
dig.
dig. Yes, they dig.
They're
And-
good diggers.
But they can't dig through the snow because it's so hard.
No, they like to dig.
Their stuff is stuck under the snow. They can't get it.
You know, it keeps them busy. Wears them out.
Yes. Anyway, I hope next week to have some interesting news for you about expansions and other things.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So.
Oh, get your
happy-
membership, expansions.com. That's where we are in communication with our global community. Practically, it seems like round the clock because you know everybody's up all the time, and so are we. But that's where we have our interesting discussions. We have a Q&A blog. This is where people ask us these things. Do not send it to social media. I tell you, but you do it anyway.
I know,
And
don't ask
so
me questions.
that's when the delete button happens. That's what it's there for. Please respect our boundaries, which we have asked for many times.
Yeah, Jan also deletes my emails
Yes, I do.
when I write to her. Anyway, have a nice validation week. If you're in North America or Europe, I guess, stay warm. And we will see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.